I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you pull us in an episode, whatever we're in this time. I'll always do it.
Well, just that is that the start. So I've like flipped the tables on. You've already introed
Fuck you. Straight in.
Episode 99. But 2023 is kind of turning out to be the year of the returning guest, really, isn't it?
It's good. I like getting returning. I said a couple of episodes ago that I like returning guests because you always get the chance to ask questions that you didn't
ask the first
time around. And I can assure there's a few tonight.
So we've got Smarty back on. We said to Fraser, we've actually became Murray's biggest boxing podcast recently, and it's not just because we're the only one. But we said to Fraser a month ago, 2 months ago when he was on, that he had a bit of a kind of whirlwind 12 months since the last time we'd spoke to him, and I would probably say that applies to yourself as well. The last time that we spoke, you were due to fight like 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks out from...
That would have been... Was that last August that I was on here last time?
It might have even been May, because I think the fight had just been cancelled or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck, aye, that's right. I was due to fight in... Oh, I'm confusing myself here. When was I on here last time?
I think about July, August time last year.
Well, fact check us.
Yeah.
I'll look the episode up.
Episode 51.
Episode 51. To scroll through Spotify. You were right though, it was one of the last episodes on YouTube before they kept sending me emails.
I think if it was earlier than June, I was meant to fight at the Beach Ballroom, and that show got cancelled. It was something to do with Fight Zone, the TV channel, and then whichever promoter was putting it. It wasn't anything really to do with
opponents
with
or
my
anything
team
like that, yeah.
or that. I think it was Fight Zone issue that cancelled that show. And then I went and fought Paul Diaz in
September
in Inverness and beat him, and that was through to the final, which was meant to be in December.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Elgin show.
And then there was that
shambles. Talked about that as well, didn't we? About the Scottish title fight being in Elgin, and that came to fruition with yourself and Fraser.
It was going to be a double header in Elgin for the Scottish title, and then obviously the Monday of the fight, the British Boxing Board of Control contacted me and my manager and said, "This isn't sorted. Basically, there's no way it's going to be sorted, so you can't fight."
Like, I mean,
to be honest, it was to do with my MRI scan.
Really?
And I had the scan done, I think on the 24th of November, and they had my results for, I think, 11 or 12 days before they contacted us and said anything about it.
That's nuts.
So I don't know if I would have been able to get it sorted, but if they told me when they got the results, then it might have been a different story.
Something could have been done about it. I can't believe the amount of frustration that must have like ran through you at that point, because that is like, that was going to be the biggest night of your career, wasn't it?
It would have been, yeah.
And then obviously,
if that show had happened, then nothing that would have happened after that could ever
top
be as big as that.
Yeah,
yeah.
But now nothing. Even now, nothing. If anything happened, it's never going to be as big as that, because, like, the Scottish title's already been won in Elgin. So
yeah, and I know obviously, like, I'm sure you were proud of Fraser getting the job done and everything like that. But there must have been a part of you, because were you in his corner that night as well, or were you just?
Yeah, I was down in the corner. Yeah.
There must have been a part of you that was just like, where's my chance to do this? Because obviously it's just.
It is what it is. To be honest, in my boxing career, I've not been the most lucky. I've been really unlucky with fights being cancelled and like opponents pulling out and stuff like that. Even I had to pull out of a fight in June because I got knocked over by a cart at work and got concussions.
Jesus, man.
So
it's not the kind of sport you get into for getting lucky. It's not a. You've got to be through speaking to yourself and Ratch and Fraser. You've got to kind of be fooling with this sport. There's no no stone unturned, as they say. Like,
I suppose it tests your character in life outside of it as well, right? Like, a lot of people be through that type of stuff, whatever it's comparable to in their life, and be like, "Oh, I'm just going to give up on that," or "I'm just," you know what I mean? Like, to go again. You know, it's What does they say? Rise
The only thing I can ever compare it to in my life, and I've never done anything physical, is I've run a marathon before, and I was in really good physical shape, but I just mentally wasn't there, and fucked me about 18, 19 miles into that marathon. I didn't prepare for it, and I suppose it can kind of, you can go and put in all the work and the hours in the gym, but if you aren't there and focused, prepared mentally,
that's when, especially in boxing, it's when you switch off.
Yeah.
When you switch off, you get hurt.
And it's like, obviously as well, the kind of physical element, but also people that have bought tickets to come and see you and things like that, having to like break the news to them. Look, we're like, what, 4 or 5 days away from, you know, a really big event. Really,
I was fortunate enough that as soon as I found out, I phoned round and messaged around all the people who'd bought tickets for me, which was hundreds.
Yeah.
There was like nearly 500 folk in the town hall. But thankfully, most of them, if not all of them, bar a couple, still wanted to go.
Mm-hmm. I feel like kept the atmosphere together as well. Yeah, and like even, you know, like Fraser, you know, by the way it was set up, he would have won before you anyway, and still became the first champion from the area.
Yeah,
but like,
that's you count it as the same because it was
exactly on the same card. But it's still like a massive moment for the area, right? Like having a pro, like that's unheard of up here. I think we mentioned that last time. Like, what did you compare it to other than like a big football match coming up here? It's probably the biggest sporting event that this area has had.
There's
no other bigger sporting event in this area. It
doesn't get the recognition that it probably deserves.
I think the equivalent of something like that happening up here, I don't think there is a comparison, is there?
Well, I think like we appreciate it more because it's like this area is always classed as remote and rural and all that. Like the likes of yourself, Fraser, Aidan, Stephen, and that always get like a really great support no matter where you go. Right? Like Aidan's been to like everywhere, Wales, down south, and all that type of stuff as well.
I'm sorry to pull it back, but you're talking about two very real sports in boxing and MMA, right? You've had multiple kickboxing world champions and taekwondo world champions and all sorts of, I'm not calling them fake sports, but sports that are easier to achieve in. To have champions in MMA and boxing is pretty rare because they're two very difficult, tough sports. You know, it's not like you can go and break a heap of boards and get a fucking black belt. And I'm sorry, I'm just kind of comparing it to what I'm seeing in Northern Scott back pages where you see kids with a medal that's 3 times bigger than them,
right? Okay,
and things like that. You know,
the Northern Scott. I have to. Craig Christie at the Northern Scott. He's been great. Every couple of months I get.
There's a really good write up on Facebook this week.
It's in the Northern Scott this Friday. Well, Friday just gone.
Yep.
My mum's bought about 5 copies. But yeah, no, Northern Scott are always great. Craig gives me a call every couple of months and just talk about how things are going. Even the Press and Journal, the boy Andy. Is it Andy? No, not Andy. Sean, the Press and Journal.
He follows the podcast.
Sean
McCann, guess?
No, Sean Wallace.
Oh, right, okay.
Wallace. I think he's based in Aberdeen because he does work with Aberdeen because Northern Sporting Club, obviously.
Yeah.
Because you're back there now, obviously, with Ratch taking a step back from the programme.
Yeah. I was obviously always signed with the Northern Sporting Club. But yeah, I'm getting coached there now as well.
So we're moving from fight being cancelled onto your next fight after that, which
was the
you did get the Robbie fight eventually in the March, and you were just kind of edged out in the scorecards, razor thin, really, wasn't it? From what I read,
controversial points.
Most people, if not everyone, thought that I won the fight. If I'd hit him one more time to the body, he was going down. He wasn't getting back up. I broke 3 of his ribs apparently.
Jesus,
smashed him to bits.
Yeah.
And then, but I hope he watches this when you release it. I really do.
Yeah.
Because, like, it angered me, the fact that he beat me for the Scottish title when it should have been mine 3 months earlier.
Mm-hmm. You said you were going to push for the immediate rematch. What kind of happened there that didn't lead to that happening?
Yeah. He vacated his belt and retired. Right.
And I take you didn't take very kindly to that. He didn't give you that opportunity to.
He said he wanted. First off, we're saying, they said that he wanted to fight in Edinburgh, closer to where he stays. It's fine. I'll fight him there. Yeah. I said I'll fight him anywhere. anyway, I'll go to the gym. But then the next thing, he's got all over Facebook that he's hung up the gloves. So, but now he's looking like he's back into it and he's making a comeback. So,
is he someone that you would like to fight again just off that? So, regardless of title or no title?
Fuck the titles.
Yeah,
right.
Just fight him. Yeah.
Like, because, I mean, I said to Ratch when we had him on a few months back, like, I seen like an interview that you did together, which was like pretty like cordial, right? It was at his semi-final that he'd won down in, was it Glasgow or Paisley or something?
Paisley, yeah. We went down and watched that. Obviously, because I'd fought a month earlier.
Mm-hmm. And like, the height difference was like quite like stark to me. Like, he's a very big dude for that weight class.
To be honest, it was just because I think it was the angle I was standing at, because he's only an inch, if that, taller than me.
Really?
It's
mad that like camera angles.
Yeah, it does not do it justice.
Yeah,
like,
he's not that much. He wasn't that much bigger.
Because you've dropped the weight class since we've last spoke as well, right? You were fighting at welterweight, which is 147.
147, yeah.
And super lightweight's 140.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So before lockdown, my career was at 140, and it was still going to be. I was on my way back down to that.
Yep.
And then when I got the shout from my manager about this last man standing tournament, there was meant to be another guy in it, but he decided he pulled out. So then I got the opportunity to go into this last man standing thing, but it was at welterweight.
Mm-hmm.
But the opportunity was there, so you had to take it.
Yeah, definitely. So, is this the one that was on the Ricky Burns?
No. This was last year.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And then so I fought at welterweight. Obviously Paul Diaz in Inverness, went and fought Robbie Graham in March, and then since then I wasn't even going to take a fight over the summer because I was just going to focus on work the track and get it, just build it up, and just work on the business. But I got a call from my manager asking if I wanted to fight on the Ricky Burns undercard. I said, "Fucking right,
yeah, exactly." Yeah.
You're not going to turn that down.
Yeah, I was never going to turn that down. I didn't even stop and think. I says, we're doing it. That was the 1st September, so.
Because it's a massive platform, right? Like, it was on
Exactly.
BBC iPlayer, obviously two legends fighting in the main event.
Couldn't have been better, and then obviously, just quite unfortunate how the fight went.
Well, to be honest, like I said to via message at the time, like we were both watching, we were kind of texting back and forth.
It was difficult to watch for us, mate, just because obviously you've been a friend and things. It's difficult.
There was a heap of folk from Elgin there as well. But the thing is, like you would have seen in the footage after the fight that I was complaining to the referee that I was like, I'm fine. I was telling him that he didn't hit me, he's fine. I've not been hit, I'm fine. All this, and then one of the officials from the board, Barry John, he was at the side of the ring, says, right, just go and watch the footage back. And I was like, right, okay. And I was raging, and I went to get checked out by the paramedics. I went into another room, and then my manager was there, and then the doctor and everything. Like, I'm fine. I was still adamant I was fine and that I hadn't been hit, and I no idea why the ref had stopped the fight. And then I was watching the footage back, and I was like, oh, he did hit me.
Yeah.
He did. But after, obviously, that between getting hit the first time and the referee stopping the fight, that's like a gap.
Yeah,
for
you
me.
can't
Like,
remember that.
I can't remember that.
Yeah.
But you can see in the footage, I got up and then wanted to continue, but then that's clear now that that's just muscle memory. But you see, even after the first knockdown, he knocked me down, and I tried to get up too quick.
Yeah. Because that was scary how quick you rose up, mate.
I got up and then keeled over again because I wasn't unbalanced. But even if the referee had stopped it after that, it would have been fair enough.
Yeah. So the opponent that night, Martin Crossan, he was 7-0 at the time.
7-0.
Yeah. I kind of question I want to ask is obviously like when you start your pro career, it's the slow build in every boxer's career. Do you kind of feel like you're at like a point in time now where like the quality of the opposition, it's always going to be undefeated guys that are I think the guy that you could be potentially fighting in the final is Calvin McCord, and he's 13-2.
I'm fighting him next.
Yeah, semi-final rather. But do you think like you're kind of past that point? It's only going forward now with guys of similar records.
It has to be like. I could go and fight like a journeyman and get a win. That's fine, but I'm not proving anything to myself.
No.
Like after those like back-to-back losses, like I was meant to fight in 2 weeks' time, but then that got cancelled. The opponent pulled out, and if I didn't beat him, then I was done.
Yeah. Is that
Like,
Xander
Xander
Savage?
Savage, yeah, he's 5-0. But like these kind of guys, if I can't beat him, then I'd have to. I would be finished.
Yeah.
I said that to my manager, and he agreed with me. So if I didn't beat him, then I'm finished. So I suppose I kind of look at the same thing. If I don't beat Calvin McCord, then
Yeah. Do you relish that kind of pressure? I guess it's not even like pressure you're putting on yourself there, right? Like if it's this one doesn't work out, then that's it, I suppose.
And how long do you put that pressure on yourself, Smarty? Have you still got that pressure on yourself? If you go and win the next 5 fights, you're still thinking if I lose the next one, I'm done.
it depends. Yeah, I mean, if I do lose the next one, I have to have a serious think about where I'm going with my career.
Mm-hmm.
But if I win the next one, then obviously the final's a big one as well.
Yeah.
Win the final, then that'll open up opportunities.
So did you just say that the Xander Savage fight, that's off? That's
Yeah,
no
it's
longer
off.
happening?
Yeah.
So have you just won by him pulling out and getting through to the semi-final, or is there
Pretty
another?
much.
Yeah. Oh, well, awesome.
So, I was scheduled to fight him on
27th,
the
was it?
27th for a couple of Fridays' time.
Because I was about to say that turnaround, because if you'd won it, obviously when you would have won that, December 2nd was the semi-final,
right,
which is a
So
really
that's a
quick turnaround.
Yeah,
so
it was like 4 weeks.
and plus Calvin's already won his quarterfinal, right? So it was
There wasn't any other quarterfinals.
really. So how
There was 5 fighters,
okay?
and then they made me versus Savage the quarterfinal to then just make the 4.
Okay, so it's like
So it's essentially the same as last year, except there was an extra fighter. But the rest of them, the other 4, they're all Kynek fighters. So I'm the only Northern Sporting Club.
Mm-hmm. I know there was one guy on the other semi-final that I'd heard you talk about before, Kyle Boyd.
Oh yeah, he's had a brilliant run.
Mm-hmm. He's just won a title recently as
He
well.
did.
Hasn't he? Yeah.
He just beat Calvin McCord over 10 rounds in London at a charity show.
Did I seen because was he fought Robbie that semi-final, didn't he? That you were at, and I remember you were talking about has Kyle tried to play some mind games or something like that, and you weren't too impressed at his attempts at trying to.
Aye, they were just posting some shite on social media. It wasn't great.
Aye, so, yeah. I mean that's the. Do you think like people that are kind of?
It wasn't like good crack. It was just.
Aye, it was almost like kind of gone too far, or yeah.
But when Kyle Boyd and Robbie fought, immediately after the fight, I thought Kyle looked like he won it. But then I thought it was close. It was close. It was all square, in my opinion, going into the last round, and it's just what obviously the referee preferred.
Yeah, and it's like boxing's. It's not black and white, is it? It's very subjective, right? People like different things. In terms of like stuff that kind of happens outside of the ring, where maybe people take like shit talk, for lack of a better term, too far. Do you think that's like being impacted by like all the kind of hate to bring up? We kind of we're just off the back of a pretty kind of big clown show last night, right? Like,
yeah.
I personally didn't pay for it. Someone had it.
I fucking paid for it.
Thoughts are with you, but
fucking hell. Like the fights, they were even fights up till like they weren't good.
Yeah.
They were entertainment. There was actually one of the guys, Dean the Great.
Yeah, that fight was
called out. He was actually good, and then he called out Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia after the fight.
Bad idea.
Yeah. But then Dylan Danis and Logan Paul.
Oh my
what
God.
the actual fuck?
Like we were just talking outside, and I was like, if I could say anything to Dylan Danis, would be, please get help.
Yeah, get
like,
yourself a rehab or something.
The way
mate.
that guy's acting and everything, like trying to fight with the security, and
Yeah.
it's like that is just not normal behavior. Plus all the stuff that he's done outside of it as well. And I find it kind of ironic as well that like he tried to like take Logan Paul down and he tried to choke him and he couldn't even do that. And it's like,
It's quite funny. There's heaps of people talking about it on like Twitter and stuff today. Like Dylan Danis is meant to be this top level grappler, and then he tried to take Logan Paul down and he stuffed the takedown.
Yeah, I nearly hammer fisted him on the ground. I was like, what is going on? And then the main event was even better grappling, right? Because it was like 95% clinch.
I actually seen something before I came that was like they counted up how many clinches there was in however many rounds. Was it 6 rounds? I think
6 rounder. Yeah.
It was like I can't remember 80 something.
That's mad.
Or something like that. But I remember watching it thinking, what the. they were like, as soon as they were separating, they were coming in again and just clinching.
Yeah.
Tommy Fury can box, right?
Mhm.
He's good. He's a good boxer, and he's got a really strong jab. But where the fuck was it last night?
Yeah, he was just kind of leading with right hands and everything, wasn't he? Kind of, clashing of.
We were just saying as well before,
Like, how can, whether or not it was fixed or
And that's like a legitimate question, right? Because some of these things I get
how,
skeptical.
How
People
can
wise.
and John Fury, they've made him into a character.
Yeah,
That's not John Fury. They've just that's purely scripted.
yeah.
But how can Tommy Fury, if it was fixer, but his brother is literal heavyweight champion of the world,
One of the greatest
and
of
then
all time.
he is making a mockery of the sport.
And he can't go back to like the traditional pro ranks after this. Like,
That's what he said he was doing after the fight. He says, "I'm done with this shit."
I don't see how he can, because like at the end of the day, regardless of how it was, let's just say it was legit. Let's just give them benefit of the doubt. That has not helped his stock whatsoever in those two
I don't
fights.
know, but see if you're an up and coming boxer and he is going back to the pro ranks, you're looking at that Tommy Fury fight with fucking dollar signs in your eyes, because you're going to get a big payday and you're going to spark him out.
But does he like gain star power from fighting those guys? Because a lot of the time he's making money because it's all these kids on the internet that are watching.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. As I said, I think he's going to get. I'm going to put a prediction that within the next 18 months he's going to get hurt by someone. Like,
if he steps up and fights someone,
yeah.
Like, if he won, did he win though?
No, yeah.
That's what people are saying. But
Because you would expect someone of his pedigree of training with some of the best fighters in the world, he's been in Tyson's camps and everything, to murder one of these dudes inside like a round or two, right?
These KSI doesn't have an amateur experience or anything like that. Fair enough. He's got like basic skill. A lot of the guys had like the basic skill.
Mm-hmm.
But Fury should be going in and just ruining these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just
You can throw in any name though, and it's interesting. You can throw in absolutely any name. You can say like, "Oh, Dennis Rodman's going to fight fucking."
he would as well.
You know, you can say you can literally mention any name, and you're like, "I'd probably pay to see Tommy Fury fight him." Like,
I know it's such a, because I said to myself last night, I was like, I'm not watching this. And someone messaged me, was like, "Are you coming up for a beer? We've got it on for free." And I'm like, am I really going to?
I wasn't going to watch it, and then I was sat at home at 6:45, and I like went onto the app on DAZN. I was like, okay.
No one's got to know. So by the way, with the Zone as well, like, I can't believe that was an app that was marketed as getting rid of the pay-per-view model, that fans were going to be able to see more fights for like a fairer price, and now they're wanting a subscription on top of our pay-per-view. You can't even buy the pay-per-view without having to have a DAZN subscription first. So yeah,
just pass all over. I'm going to kind of put us onto something a bit more positive.
Get the negativity over.
What was it like getting ready to fight in the Braehead Arena, Smarty? Because that's a big arena. It's like 5,000-6,000 people.
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, went down for the weigh-in and the public weigh-in, and the face-offs after the weigh-in, which was good. I'd never done something to that on that level before, on that magnitude, and then just basically went back to my hotel, refueled, rehydrated. Then the next day, I met my coaches just at the arena, got some food with them, and then we just chilled out and just got ready for the...
Do you get to go like down into the ring and things like that?
Well, by the time we got there, the doors were starting to... Well, the doors had opened, people were starting to get in, so didn't really have much time to... I couldn't go and have a walk around the ring, but had a walk around like the seating area and that on the outside. Just kind of pictured how it was gonna.
Do you get like, when it comes to like these type of like big events, is there any extra nerves that's like added to it, or are you like quite just like business as usual?
Yeah, not really.
You don't seem like the kind of guy that gets phased by much.
I don't really like. My first ever contest was in Elgin in front of the home crowd, and I was the first one on in the whole show. That was my first in 2009.
In at the deep end.
I was 15. I was the first one on. So since then, it's just been fine.
What about like in the lead up to fights? Do you get to like? Is there that much footage that you can like watch? Are you a guy that would like to see footage of opponents and break it down with coaches?
Yeah, I do like to, but unfortunately, in the last one, in my hotel room the night before, I did watch it. I had to force myself to watch it because it was shot like from down here through the second rope of
Not a good angle.
So yeah, that was his when he won the Scottish title.
Okay.
So watch that.
And we're kind of speaking a little bit about Fraser as well. I think it's probably the biggest Scottish boxing card there's been ever.
Possibly, yeah. It was all Scotland v Scotland. There's been big cards in Scotland before, but it's always been like against opponents or.
Yeah.
But then that was all about Scottish boxing. Like the first 4 or 5 fights were like young prospects fighting their like learning fights, getting in, and then the 3 main fights was all Scotland v Scotland.
I think it was kind of cool to see like 2 generations as well, because Willie Limond obviously boxed in the main event, and his son was on the undercard, I believe, as well. At this stage, because like one thing that I was going to ask you, because I thought that October 27th was still happening. I take it activity is just the most important thing for you at this point. Obviously, having the kind of rotten luck over the last couple of years of whether it be the pandemic when you just started in the pros, people pulling out shows and all the other kind of red tape that's been getting in the way. I take it it's just literally let's get fights in as quick as we can.
Yeah, there's no point in, cause I mean 29, I'm getting to the latter stages of my career as a professional boxer, so you can't stop moving.
Mm-hmm.
So is it still Scottish title, or is it get to the Scottish title and see where I go from there? Like how does it kind of look longer term?
Well, this tournament could open the door for some big fights.
Mm-hmm.
The other semi-final has just been announced that it's going to be for the vacant Celtic title.
All right, okay.
So
the final could potentially have 2 belts on the line,
possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it depends I don't know. I have no idea if they're thinking about it. But if they make like me versus Calvin for some kind of title, then the winner would then fight for both of them as well. I really don't know how it works. I'd have to. I was going to work. Sorry.
Is the final got a venue or a date yet? Or
I believe it's in the DoubleTree Hilton in Glasgow.
Because obviously the one that you were meant to have in a couple of weeks' time, that was an area in Glasgow as well. I read, and then
the Crown Plaza,
and it was Paisley Hall or something.
The Paisley Lagoon Centre. That's where Boyd and Graham fought last year when I went to see.
So what's it like being back in the Northern Sport Gym? Like you said, they've always been your promoter, right?
Yeah.
But you did go back to Elgin Boxing Club the last time.
Can you tell us as well what's the kind of main differences between that and Elgin Boxing Club?
Yeah, so the main difference is like in Elgin, like it's the classes from certain time to certain time, and you go in, everyone does the warm up, so it's all a structured class. It's the way like Rats runs it.
Yeah.
In Aberdeen, they open the gym at 5:00 and it closes at 8. So you come and go. You could just come in and you get told what to do by the coaches, but like they're not controlling the whole class. So like maybe one of the coaches would be running sparring, and then you would, once you finish sparring, they say, right, go away and do the bag, do 6 threes in the bag, sort of thing. So it's just structured that way, as opposed to like it's different.
Yeah.
It's not like better or worse or either. It's just a different way to do it, which is good.
And I suppose like Northern Sports probably, I don't want to say it's more tailored toward pros, right? But there's Fraser's mentioned that there's a lot more guys in there, whereas obviously at Elgin it was you, him, young Lucas and Corey Rizza and Meg and the likes. So I take it as like the quality of sparring better and things like that, without like being disrespectful to the people that go to Elgin and that as well.
No, you get good sparring. I get really, really good sparring in Elgin and Aberdeen.
Yeah.
I can't really say one's better than the other.
Are they unique to each other though? Do you like learn different things from the different areas?
Oh, definitely. Different styles of coaching, and obviously you got all the boxers through there, all the guys that you see it's different watching all them sparring, because like in Elgin I could see everybody sparring there, but then through in Aberdeen it's always different,
Mm-hmm.
with different guys.
Where's like the furthest that you've went for like sparring? Because Fraser, like when we spoke to him, he's been traveling. He obviously went to Mexico recently as well, right, for a kind of mini camp they had out there. Where's like the furthest that you've went?
Well, I was meant to go down with them at St Helens last year, but obviously work.
You're a business owner at the same time, right? Yeah.
Got in the way of that. But I went down to Glasgow. We've been we go all over the country, really.
Yeah.
What do we what do you think about Fraser obviously becoming champion? But he obviously had the rematch, which he kind of one of the best fights that I've seen at like a local level or nation level, I should say. He seems like a very kind of level-headed guy and a very kind of speaks very well for someone that's still so young, right?
Yeah.
He's still only 22, as we keep mentioning on here. I think it would have been easy for someone like him to, because he's a guy that you can tell is ambitious, right? You can tell as soon as he comes in, he wants to go the furthest he can as quick as possible, right? And we were saying,
well, we found out the first time, but we also said the second time he came on that it's like, right, he's got a focus. It's the next fight. You just do what he's told. He's in a program essentially now. Does what he's told. On to the next one, rather than thinking, this is where I need to be in 5 fights time. This is where I need to be in 10 fights time. So I agree with you, but I think between the first and the second one, he definitely changed.
100%. But like that's going to happen with like life experience as these fights are and going to Mexico. But we were kind of saying to him that, because we're asking the difference between Ratch and obviously Davey now who he's with, and we were kind of like saying, is it good that like someone's kind of trying to rein that in a little bit from him, right? Because he was would you even say that Scottish title fight that he won in Elgin, do you think that was maybe even a couple fights too early before he should have been taking a fight like that, right? Because he just kind of burst onto the pro scene and knocked like 5-6 fights out in a year.
Like, maybe. But obviously he got the opportunity, so he had to take it.
Yeah, they don't come
and
around.
Then he boxed brilliant. Clearly won the fight. And then obviously the rematch, I was in the corner for that as well. First round he got put down.
Just as the bell went, wasn't it?
And then basically just as the bell went for the second round, he came out and then knocked Corey down. Do you think there'll be a trilogy down the line? We did ask him, but he was kind of keeping his cards close to his chest at the time. There will be.
Yeah.
There will be.
There
has to be.
There's got to be. If not, I feel when there's not the trilogy fight, there's always the question of the trilogy fight.
Yeah.
So you've got
Corey just fought last weekend though.
Yeah, he just came up short. He was down in Sheffield or something like that. Yeah,
fighting a guy Junaid Bostan or something like that. Big puncher. He's like 6-0, 6 knockouts.
Yeah,
and I suppose they're both Kinnick fighters as well in it, so it should be like quite a.
It would be an easy fight
to make. Yeah. And like, I mean,
but Corey and Fraser have been sparring in the.
Yeah,
they sparred to help Corey with his fight.
Yeah, because the trainers are quite good for him. Well, I know
Shug.
Yeah, Ratch and Shug are good mates as well. Like, but
yeah, Shug's a good guy.
I think if I remember correctly, he might have liked the Fraser post last time, because I do remember like I didn't recognize the name and I clicked on it and then I seen like posts about Corey. Like, oh, it must be his head coach. Should we get onto some boxing talk? Because we're always trying to get talking about.
I try to go through an MMA or a boxing podcast with one awkward question. So I've got one awkward question for Smarty.
Wait, can we just say, like, and to your credit, like, this is we seen last night on that kind of clown fest show that some people that lost didn't take it very well and acted in a very unprofessional manner. Right? It's not a good example to show. I mean, it's just
he was robbed, like, though.
But like it's just a bit vain and it's not a good example to accept. But one thing that I'm quite surprised about, having like now kind of spoke to a few that are involved in the combat sports game, is a lot of you guys, I don't want to say you don't take yourselves too seriously, but you're kind of, you know, willing to say something in like an awkward moment. So when we were messaging back and forth just after the Martin Crossan fight had happened, you just simply messaged, "There's the answer to Lee's question." And I was like, I don't know how to respond to that. This guy makes me feel awkward all the time. Like, I'm going to ask it, and I'm like, look, if something happens to you, I'm not responsible.
No, it's just kind of off the back of what Smarty had said, and I know the skills you guys have gained over years of spending in the gym and things like that. And for example, this is not going to happen because it's not. But if things weren't to go right in your next fight, and you thought, right, that's it. Would you ever be interested in bare knuckle boxing for like 5 to 10 grand a fight?
That's quite funny you say that. I've been watching quite a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not really up here.
No.
There's not the
There's
platform.
not the market for it up here. Yeah.
The weird thing about it is it seems like they're kind of happy. You know how like they're always trying to put MMA and boxing against each other? It does kind of seem like it kind of works both ways, and there's boxers that have had success and there's MMA guys that have had success in it as well.
But
So
it's boxing.
yeah.
But the thing with bare knuckle boxing, like everyone's went full circle. When boxing first started, they didn't use gloves.
Gloves, yeah.
And the deaths in boxing went up when they introduced gloves.
Yeah.
Because before, nobody went to the head because they'd break their hands.
Yeah.
So when they introduced the gloves, the hands were more padded, so then they were more inclined to go to the head.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I think my cousin of mine was trying to show me this conspiracy theory about, you know, the Deontay Wilder claim that Tyson Fury had like pulled the glove down a little bit, and I was like, that doesn't benefit him whatsoever. Though I was like, that puts him at more of a disadvantage because there's less padding around his hand. Like a padding on a boxing glove is not to protect someone's face. You know what I mean?
And to have the gloves, because professional gloves are laced up, they're laced up tight, and to have them down where they claim his hands would basically be right in the laces, which then wouldn't give his fingers any. When your hands are in the gloves, you can move your fingers up and you can move your thumbs, but if they were where they're claiming them to be, his hands would be basically tied and taped like that.
Solid. Yeah.
So it would be impossible to.
And you've got to remember, like, Deontay Wilder came out with some wild claims. You know, the suit was too heavy. You know.
Wild, but would it ever be of interest to you?
Not really.
No.
To be honest, I do. Like, I would I think about it, and I probably would get a buzz from it. But
I suppose there's like a period of time that you've got to stop yourself, right?
But with bare knuckle boxing, that just opens the door to cuts.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
everything. And I've got a daughter at home, so I can't really be.
Like I think I'm following like a lot of boxing history pages, and it was talking about this guy that turned pro at 13, which, you know, 20th century, like the start of like that 1900 to 1918 is undefeated for its brutality. He turned pro at 13, and then by the time they show the photo of him, like, I don't know,
I think I've
and then
seen
him
that.
at 23, and it, oh my god, like it looks like he looks like a completely different person. The guy actually died at 25. I think he committed suicide or something, right? Because he's took so much head
CTE.
trauma. Yeah, CTE, exactly. Last time I actually listened to our conversation back in last night. We were talking about the potential of Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou, kind of thinking it was like a pipe dream and it wouldn't happen.
Now it's happening.
2 weeks time from now.
2 weeks time.
I personally think this does not go more than 4 rounds in my opinion.
We've got an interesting
because
thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was cancelled, if it was called off, because
the
obviously the
Usyk
Usyk
deal's
fight
good,
has now just been. So why would
Fury risk an injury?
risk? Yeah, exactly.
I thought.
I mean, everyone's got a puncher's chance, and Ngannou hits pretty hard.
Yeah.
So why would he even risk?
I thought we were just saying, Ryan. I just think it's a bit like a sparring opponent for him. He's taking in a
Probably
sparring.
will be.
Yeah.
It'll just be a glorified sparring session.
Yeah, they might have like a gentleman's agreement of being like, I won't hurt you, you won't hurt me sound. Like,
But I can see.
Fury's another one. Tyson Fury, if he struggles, then it's fixed.
yeah, like this is a lose-lose
There's
for
no
him. Yeah.
there's no way.
Yeah, it's like if he absolutely bulldozes him, you're meant to do that. If there's any sign of success, which there won't be, like I cannot see it unless, like you said, there is like some kind of, you know, a brown envelopes went somewhere and been like, you know, but I just, with Fury, man, like he is such a special talent, right? And I think he beats them all. I think the Usyk fight's a really good fight, to be honest.
I think Usyk beats him.
Yeah, but I think it's because Usyk's a more active fighter and stuff like that as well. Obviously because he's a cruiserweight that's went up to heavyweight, and
I think it also just because he's a fucking madman.
But you think of Usyk, he had about 350 amateur wins with only a handful
lot
of
of
losses.
experience. Yeah,
And he was a double Olympic gold medalist and undefeated cruiserweight world champion, and now one belt away from undefeated heavyweight champion of the world.
yeah, and
He's also whooping Russians in his spare time.
without getting political, but
As in Terence Crawford as well, he's just double undisputed champion. That's
Yeah.
just phenomenal.
I do have a question about him later about a fight that he's kind of clamouring for, but with the Fury as well, it always seems to be anytime that he's kind of struggled with someone like the Steve Cunningham fight, it's always someone that's been a bit more kind of shorter, starkier,
yeah,
and
and a
stuff like
southpaw.
that. Yeah. Obviously the Wilder fight, but that's the guy that has like a bazooka of a right hand,
Yeah.
right? So understandable. But yeah, like I don't see why this is going to be or how this can be like a serious fight, because if it's happening in the 23rd of December and like the Middle East, if they say it's happening, it's happening. You know what I
probably
mean?
happening.
You know,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
they're not going to be like, look, because even if Tyson goes and smokes him in a round, there's still a risk he would break his hand or something along the
Yeah,
lines
exactly.
of that. And this is a fight, not just Fury and Usyk, but the undisputed fight, which people have been clamouring for like 6 years, has been
Undisputed
Joshua
heavyweight
Wilder.
fight. There hasn't been, well, Lennox Lewis
Lennox
was
Lewis
the
was
last
the last one,
undisputed.
yeah.
But even then, that was in the 3 belt era. Now there's a 4, because the WBO is now upgraded to
Because
full status.
is there not a 5th one as well that they don't class in
The
that?
IBO.
IBO, yeah. And obviously you've got like, is Fury not the lineal and Ring magazine
Yeah,
as
the
well?
Ring magazine. Like, if you're the lineal champion, you're regarded as the
the man
one
who
to
beat
beat.
them. Yeah.
no matter like what other belts you've got.
Do you like multiple belts, or do you think that just makes everything too complicated?
Well, it's one of these things. Like, if there was just one belt per weight division, there would be so few title fights,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it would be so much harder for someone to
make a
get
push.
there. Yeah, and it's because like the UFC, for example, is the top. So if you're the UFC champion, you're the number 1 in the world.
Yeah.
But in pro boxing, it's like the governing, because UFC is essentially a governing body.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that,
In
because
pro
sorry.
boxing, the governing bodies, there's the four main ones.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
I think-
interesting you say that, because the UFC have now started doing stupid things like the BMF title, just because they've got to put on so many title fights
Yeah,
a year
exactly,
because of
right.
the TV
and
contracts.
interim title. I think one of the boxing ones, the WBA, they had 3 world champions for one weight division.
Oh,
There was the
yeah.
regular, 4, because there was the intern world champion, the regular world champion,
do like a silver one or something as well, do they
and
not?
the super world champion.
What do you think out of the 3 organisations holds the most claw?
The WBC,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the green and gold belt. That's what that's like regarded as the one above the rest, and they're all essentially the same. But I think the WBC, there's more prestige to it.
Yeah, it's the
Bit
first one
history
like,
as
I
well.
think of when I think of boxing, yeah. But I'm Teddy Atlas I think he described it really well. He said the UFC is a dictatorship,
Mhm.
right? So like there's a good and a bad side to that, because in one way there's guys that are clearly not. The reason that Francis is fighting Tyson Fury is because when he was the champion he was making like 300 grand, which I know like a lot of people like that's a lot of money, but
But compared
to like elite athletes in other sports, it's peanuts, right? So there's that element to it, but there's also the kind of good side of it of there can't be any kind of political games that comes into the sport. People have to, like you said, with the one belt, that forces fighters to actually, you have to fight this
Yeah.
guy, because there is only one belt, whereas I guess that's the kind of flip side to boxing, that there's so many belts, people can be world champions and I don't have to fight that guy. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Terence Crawford, Earl Spence, how long did that take to come about, you know?
And
Quite
also,
funny, the Spence Crawford. On my way down to Glasgow, I was listening to Fraser's first. I'd listened to both of them on the way down,
Mhm.
and he was on about. I think it was must have been his first one. That he said one of you asked him about Spence Crawford, and he says that'll never happen. That fight will never happen. And
like
then I was watching it, and I texted him as I listened to it, and I was like, "That fight will never happen."
Yeah, that was kind of unbelievable. That really wasn't it? I thought it was
Yeah,
going to be way
it's
more.
just-
But that's just the level of Terence Crawford, really,
He's
isn't it?
just
Do you think he is a pound for pound?
100%. He should be. If he's not, he's number one.
Yeah,
I like
think he is, though,
I like
isn't he?
Devin Haney. Like Devin Haney's a man. It's just a personal favourite. I don't know.
he's good. That was a very close fight with Lomachenko last
Yeah.
one though. But then I don't know, like
I'm not a huge Haney fan.
Just,
be
I
honest.
just like him. He's just a wee bit different.
he's said a couple controversial things, but I'll
Yeah.
leave it at that. And I don't know what it is, but
I need to also ask Smarty about this guy that you haven't heard of. This guy that's absolutely smoking people.
But before you do that, do you want me to turn the heating off? I kind of feel like it's getting a bit
Yeah.
clammy in here. Right, cool.
So have you heard of a guy called Moses Itauma?
Moses Itauma, the heavyweight
guy. So I was doing a bit of research on this guy earlier on. He's 5-0, and they reckon like he is the next big heavyweight to come out of the UK. They reckon that this guy could potentially be pushed into a title shot before the age of 20 to try and beat Tyson's record.
I just confused myself there. I was waiting to say, I thought I'd watched his fight, and then I thought he gassed out, but I got confused with Johnny Fisher. But that Moses Itauma, he does look pretty good. Yeah, he's
very
Southpaw,
quick,
skillful.
Yep.
Fast.
It looks like 35 as well.
We need to see him, because obviously he's knocked everybody out in 1 or 2 rounds.
Yep.
So we need to see how he is tested after someone that's going to stand there and take his shots.
Because there is a lot of guys where, you know, I mean, I guess even, I know Terry Atlas has a bit of beef towards Mike Tyson because of stuff that happened outside the ring, but he was like saying anytime he kind of got tested, he not crumbled, but like struggled, right? And if you think about it, the Evander Holyfield fights, Lennox Lewis obviously kind of boxed the head off of him back in the day as well. But at the same time, like,
to be fair to Tyson though, after I think it was Customato that
passed away,
kept him in check,
yep,
essentially, and after that, obviously, that's when all his losses started happening.
Yeah, and then there was obviously he went to like prison in between that as well. And Mike Tyson coming out of prison, like the shape that he's in,
the scariest motherfucker.
Peter McNeely or something, the first guy that he fought back.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you know, Tyson can't do anything to me. And then the next day, he looks like a literal like man of iron, you know. That Joshua Wilder. Now that is a fight that they're trying to line up, or the last that I heard, on the same card as the Fury Usyk one. That's the one that they've said.
That,
We've had a couple different opinions on this one.
Huge card if that was them 2 fights.
Yeah, so that I mean that's what the Middle East just want to do everything as big as they can.
They're obviously marketing it to then Joshua and Fury both win their fights.
Yeah,
and make
the undisputed British. You know,
do you not think that was becoming a theme recently, especially with the UFC and a bit of boxing? It's like they've got to have 2 headline fights now. They can't just have 1 headline fight.
I think, well, one thing that, like, because I'm a fan of both sports, right? And I think one thing that, like, MMA shows do better than boxing shows is they have a lot of continuity to the show. Whereas, like, boxing, there can be a fight, an hour of, like, pundits discussing things, then another fight, and it's very, like, stop-start, and it kind of feels like a drag to wait to the main event, especially if you're staying up to dark in the morning to, like, watch an American one.
The thing about, especially last night, that show was packed.
Yeah.
From the opening fight. It might have even been before that, but when it went live at 7 o'clock, that show was packed to the rafters. I mean, that doesn't happen in boxing or UFC. It's all the stadiums or arenas are normally like empty, and it's only the last fight is when they're like full.
Well, I mean, I kind of had a bit, not an argument, but I had a debate with the guy because he was like, it's a joke they've put this on pay-per-view. I understand it, right? But I was like, pay-per-view's never really been determined by skill level, has it? It's been determined by interest in an event.
Yeah. CM Punk.
Well, exactly.
You know.
But I think it said that it broke the British pay-per-view record, which I believe was held by, I think it was Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker, which did 1.5 million. So that's like serious numbers, you know what I mean? Like, so of course they're going to cash in on that. You know, that's how like the models always work. That's how people get paid. So Joshua Wilder, how kind of your gut instinct? Because we've had a few kind of takes. Rat said that he thought Joshua didn't look impressive in the Helenius fight, so he thinks he's going to be too timid to kind of beat Wilder. But Fraser, you know, brought up a good point. Joshua's an Olympian gold medalist himself, right? Can box. I know he's kind of, ever since that Klitschko fight where he just had to kind of get in that dogfight, it seems like
shy.
Something's off.
He looks like he's lost the
kind of killer instinct. Because I remember like the early years of his career, like I think like Brazil and Molina and that, he was just running through guys.
He would just go through and he wasn't scared because there was nothing coming back.
Yeah.
And then
Klitschko landed the Dr. Steel hammer on him, and then he was like, don't want to be hit with too many of them again.
If that was a few years earlier, then
done. Even like him going down when he went, because Klitschko followed up with a left hook that just kind of went over his head. That's like one of the best heavyweight fights I've seen, though. We've actually been treated to like quite a few kind of back and forths. So like Tyson Fury and Wilder number 3. That was amazing as well. But I would,
both Dylan White Chisora fights.
Yeah.
were-
What do you think about Chisora? Are you of the opinion that he should stop, or do you think he should?
He needs to. He's had a brilliant career, but
He's had a
he's not getting
run.
any younger. He had a long run.
Yeah, very long run.
I think his first time he fought for a title was Vitaly Klitschko, and that was like 2011.
Yeah, because he's always been a wild man, but that was like he was getting suspended after every fight, right? Because I think he spit water in Vladimir's face and he slapped Vitaly. And I think actually after the fight, that was the famous David Hay brawl, who ended up becoming his manager. Which I remember hearing that for the first time. I was like, wow, things have really changed. Because like David Hay, I think he bottled him or something because he was having like a bottle of lemonade.
I think it was a glass bottle of water in his hand, and he swung a punch with the bottle in his hand.
God, that was. And then they both got suspended, and then like 6 months later they managed to do it in like.
They fought, but it wasn't sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control.
Yeah. And I remember Chisora shouting there, "It's like I'm going to shoot David Hay," and I'm like, "This." So when they like started working together, it was like, "What has got on here?"
David Hay, but Tony Bellew was my favorite rivalry. That got fucking deep. Like them two fucking hate each other.
I think it was once Bellew knocked out BJ Flores, and then after the fight he
just went
called out that bitch from Bermondsey. I always remember that.
Because like the first fight I always think of when it comes to David Hay is the Valuev fight, right? Because Valuev was what, like something ridiculous 6'9", like it was.
I think he was over 7 foot.
Yeah,
and he was nearly like 45-0 at that point. Valuev.
I think he'd
just been fighting absolute cons in Germany for years.
He fought Evander Holyfield. Valuev.
Yeah, because
I think it was a draw. Was that a draw? I think it was a draw.
Because Evander went on till he was like 52, I think.
It's insane.
Something like that. Yeah.
Wait,
it's like Roy Jones Jr.
Did he not fight Vitor Belfort recently?
My God.
I'm pretty sure Evander Holyfield.
Send me a link to that, please.
Oh my God, Vitor, because Vitor's like, there's no drug testing in these things, so he was like way back.
TRT.
And like,
was it Holyfield?
I'm pretty sure. I don't think
it was Holyfield.
It was someone that had just.
That's good.
I've
got through it.
Search it because I remember that. I remember the fight happening, and I was like,
Evander.
I'll throw out a couple of names to you, Smarty.
Definitely not Evander Holyfield. Can't be.
I'll get your opinions on them. Bidval.
Oh, it was John.
Was it Holyfield?
Is it?
Yeah, Evander Holyfield versus Vitor Belfort, billed as No Holds Barred, was an exhibition boxing match between former undisputed heavyweight world champion and UFC light heavyweight champion Vitor Belfort that went down September 2021 in Miami, Florida. But I remember it.
God damn it.
Like, Evander must be like late 50s at this point, because he went until he was like 50 something in 2011.
Jesus.
A lot of those guys from the 90s went on like for ages. Roy Jones.
Too long.
Yeah. Bernard Hopkins, he went out bad.
Yeah.
Bernard, to be fair to Hopkins, he was unified world champion when he was 49 years old.
Yeah, crazy.
And then he got beat off of Kovalev. He didn't get battered off of Kovalev, but at that time Kovalev was just a killer machine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Kovalev just showed that he could box, outboxed him over 12 rounds, and then Hopkins fought Joe Smith Jr. and then got knocked out.
And then he hit his head off the bell and everything. Jeez. And speaking of David Hay as well, does anyone remember when like Shannon Briggs wouldn't leave him alone? Called him David Feathers.
Yeah.
But since Shannon Briggs came on the scene, he was brilliant. See that Let's Go Champ?
Oh my God.
Everyone does
the
it.
best person
Everyone
ever.
remembers Let's Go Champ.
And he's like loved in the UK as well. Like,
yeah, massively.
And he fought it wasn't Vladimir. I mean, he hounded Vladimir, right? I mean, there's like videos of
fought
like
Vitaly Klitschko,
and he fought him with like a broken arm for 10 rounds or something like
He's
that.
in Crank.
He got
film.
Yeah.
he got really beat up
Yeah.
against Vitaly Klitschko. Vitaly was just ruthless.
Yeah.
Do you think if like I know Vitaly retired, obviously before Vladimir, but do you think like he was like someone that was like I could have absolutely annihilated Anthony Joshua that night, even at that age? Do you think that's posturing, or do you think because Vitaly and Vladimir did have a little bit of a different
the
style?
little argument after, yeah. Well, I mean, you look at Vitaly's record, and then his only losses he had to pull out because of a shoulder injury against I think it was Chris Bird.
Yeah, and I think
Chris Bird and
Lennox
then
was a cut, was it?
Yeah, the doctor stopped the fight, but he was ahead on all the scorecards going into that 7th round, and the doctor stopped it in the 7th because the gas was
it was
massive.
bad. That's the thing. Like, I think is it just because of the material of the gloves that like cuts like that happen? Because it just seems to be a unique sport for like the type of cut. It's not like ever a scratch, is it? It's like
the bone on your eyebrow is really sharp underneath. So I mean, if you get
enough force.
hit in the right part, then it splits open. I'm supposed to be the same in mixed martial arts. If when you get hit with an elbow
or something,
like an elbow in the eye. But what they do is boxers, if they see the opponent's cut, and then you can see there's a Klitschko documentary, and Emmanuel Stewart is explaining it at the time because he coached Lennox Lewis going in for that fight. Like when Lewis noticed that he was cut open, instead of punching him, or when he's in close, he's using the laces of the gloves and scuffing up past the cup, which then makes it worse. Yeah. Then it's more inclined to get stopped.
Emmanuel Stewart, he was the head of Kronk boxing gym, was he? Sugar Ray's dad, I think. Not Sugar Ray, the guy that trains Tyson Fury. Is it Sugar?
It's his uncle.
Yeah.
Sugar Hill Stewart.
Sugar Hill, there we go. I said that I had one about Terence Crawford. So Terence Crawford just came out recently and says that he wants to fight Canelo at a catch weight of, I think it's 158 pounds.
Yeah, let's do it.
I want to see it, like, because like Fraser said it on when he came on about a month ago. Even if Crawford just goes the distance and like gets like beat pretty handily, right?
What's the guy that beat Canelo? Is it Bivol? Bivol.
Dimitri Bivol.
What about him versus Crawford?
I don't know, because
I think but Bivol's a light heavyweight.
Yeah, Canelo's
like a middleweight, super middleweight,
and he can kind of go up and down, right?
Depends what he's eating that week.
Canelo went up. The Mexican league. Canelo went up to light heavyweight because he's dared to be great, and he knocked Kovalev out at light heavyweight.
Yeah,
won the title, and then when he fought Bivol, he wants to rematch Bivol, but everything has to be the same, because if Bivol then boils himself down to 168, and Canelo wins, then it's because he's cut weight.
You have to take a leg off to get to that.
But if Canelo then just goes back to 175 and then beats him, then that just shows that he is the true fighter. And then essentially Crawford's doing the same thing, because Canelo went from he first won titles at super welterweight, and then he went up to middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight, back down, undisputed at super middleweight. Then Crawford would be doing the same thing.
Yeah, and like it's like
he started as a lightweight. He won his first title against Ricky Burns.
Yeah, well, that was what Fraser said. He was like, Ricky went 12 rounds with Terence Crawford, and Errol Spence couldn't.
It's mad. It's fucking mad.
But like, I mean, it's unprecedented, right? Like, I can only really think of maybe like a Manny Pacquiao, who came from like, was it like someone ridiculous, like 115 or something, up to 147,
154,
100. Jeez,
Rumble Johnson.
Aye, but like
he died because of it.
He's not dead.
He died because of it.
And he became a bodybuilder, did he not?
Fucking fought everything from welterweight to heavyweight, and just
boxers. Roy Jones Jr. started his career at middleweight,
went up and fought,
won world titles at every weight division bar cruiserweight, and then won a title at heavyweight.
It was it was a really
and then went back down.
James Toney, wasn't it? That's the guy that he beat for the title at heavyweight, wasn't it?
No.
How long till he's fighting Tommy Fury?
David Hayes fought him. The name gets away from me, but it's when Roy Jones did one of the best things he's done. He's goading him, and then he winds his right hand up, and then just pops him a jab and gets him out.
Calzaghe fought Jones, didn't he?
Calzaghe fought Jones,
and Hopkins as well, back to back.
Beating both as well.
Yeah, I know, and they both knocked him down in the first round. And then
how underrated is Joe Calzaghe?
He's one of the most underrated fighters of all time.
You're gonna have to search who Jones fought at heavyweight, because it's gonna annoy me.
Jones at heavyweight.
Roy Jones, he fought, and David Hay fought him in his once he beat Valuev. It was David Hay's first title defense. For his heavyweight. John Ruiz, that's it, yeah. That's who, like, Jones fought him.
In relation to Andy Ruiz?
No.
Yeah. Would you give Crawford a realistic chance of beating Canelo if they did fight? Yeah.
Because if you look at what Canelo did, he went up and fought Kovalev at just the right time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kovalev was an absolute monster. Canelo is an absolute monster. And Crawford coming up to middleweight. And if he beat Canelo, then
Hard to argue. Wouldn't be like
when you look at the parallels in their careers and what they did, they've done relatively similar thing. They both went up weight divisions and won multiple world titles.
Canelo is like the golden child of boxing, right? Like he has had a few helping hands, shall we say, in his time as well. The Gennady Golovkin decision, number one.
The first one. I suppose it is back to the subjectiveness of it.
And then I guess the meat ended up being subjective as well.
Oh yeah, the Mexican.
Just a little bit.
I mean, I know that it's obviously definitely in the meat there. Like, there's no doubt about that. But
it is a thing.
But I think I seen from was it what belt? Well, they were fighting for all the belts, but I can't remember what governing body went and tested them, and then they found it, and they were like, "Oh, it's in the meat. Come back tomorrow. It'll probably be out of the system." And then when they tested him again, was it not like 10 times more was fine? So I don't know.
As soon as they leave, he's sticking a fucking needle in his ass, like.
Yeah, but at the same time though, like we were saying last time, like Canelo's like a bit of a wonder. Really, turned pro at 15, was knocking dudes out. They were like 30-year-olds at 15, and
I know I always go back to this, but he just doesn't look like a fucking Mexican.
No, he doesn't.
He looks like a Scottish guy.
They call him the Irish Mexican.
Yeah.
Canelo McGregor.
So like, just kind of going back onto your. Have you got anything more for kind of current boxing before I go back onto Smarty?
Yeah.
No, just kind of to go back onto Sell Smarty. So what can we see from Andrew Smart in the next 12 months?
Obviously, we'll get this next fight out of the way, and if that goes well, then we fight the final in March, and then just keep active. Ideally, we'd like to get back in Elgin.
And you want that Robbie Graham fight back?
Robbie Graham fight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that was another one I had actually. Was last time you said about the sports centre, and then Fraser told us when he was on that they're just not interested.
Yeah,
I don't get the reasoning behind that.
So I went up to the sports centre and spoke to the whoever was the management, gave them my email, and they emailed me back and said they weren't interested.
That's unbelievable. The only thing I could maybe think of it being is that it's an event, obviously, where like I guess alcohol served, so they might be thinking,
do they not serve? They've got their own kitchen.
I've never been. Oh, do they? Okay.
And things there, I'm pretty sure. They've got a restaurant and that.
Speculating.
Yeah, they basically said they weren't interested, which, I mean, they like when I was at the gym with Fraser, and then he had a PT there at the time, and then we're speaking to him, and he took us down and showed us the hall, and they've got the bleacher seats that there's like 250 per bleacher.
That's
seats
insane.
per bleacher, so it's
bigger than the town hall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a full sized. It was an indoor football pitch with multiple. So yeah, the potential was
massive.
Yeah,
insane.
And like I would imagine that demand would have been met as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I haven't seen like the.
Someone's seriously missing a trick there. Like,
there's a leisure centre as well. They've got the ice rink that. Ice rinks work.
mm-hmm.
They've got bleachers as well. I think for in there because we fought in Inverness ice rink. Butterbriggs. It's a little bit small. You'd only get because that's where they hold the annual Elgin Boxing Club show.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one reason why we wouldn't do it there because it would step on the toes of the amateur show.
We're talking about on the pitch, like.
Oh right. Oh sorry. Well yeah. We'd have to obviously make sure it was a good day.
Middle of December.
Yeah, this part of the world's not exactly reliable for good weather, but I still think like.
Well, you see, they did a show in Hamilton Football Ground.
Yeah.
A few years ago, and that was like right at the seating, and they had a big tent and everything.
Over the ring and that. And like at the end of the day, like for something such a mega event, like you see people go to like the McMurray Festival and stuff like that.
The Stadium of Light in Sunderland does boxing shows, and they literally just put a ring up in one of the stands. Mm-hmm. And it's like it's pretty.
It's quite a common practice, right? Like I think Lee Selby was he in Leeds or something. He got Ellen Road.
That would have been Josh Warrington, wouldn't it?
Josh Warrington, and then he was fighting Lee Selby, and Lee Wood was he not in Nottingham at one point as well? Like so, it's quite a common thing. It's like obviously if there's demand.
Well, Tony Bellew versus
Goodison Park, yeah.
Goodison Park.
Was it Makabu? Was that?
Ayunga Makabu, yeah.
But yeah, like that. I know it sounds.
Chisora Hay was at Tottenham.
Tottenham Stadium. We just had a
Was it a Tottenham?
podcast last weekend.
Oh, I think it might have been. Was it maybe West Ham?
Yeah,
it was
West
at Upton
Ham.
Park. Yeah. But yeah, like that's like I know like people saying it's a local thing and that, but that is like something that could happen. It just needs to be forced to happen, right? With results and obviously demand for it and being able to fill the capacity. Because I've seen clips from like Elgin Town Hall and that, and they look absolutely amazing, right? It looked just an amazing event to be a part of, whether a spectator or a participant, right? But it did seem like very crowded, and I'm sure there was people that never managed to get tickets that wanted to go and things of that nature. So, and obviously is the kind of, you know, I've kind of said this, and what I've been enlightened to, I guess, from doing stuff like this is like the combat sports area in this area is on absolute fire. Do you know what I mean? Like this is
because you see like the SPG guys, they're always down at competitions, and they're not just there; they're winning.
Yeah, they're taking.
Everyone's winning medals.
Shea has just become the first guy for the UK to win Brazilian nationals in Brazil. It's like fucking unheard of.
Yeah.
A wee guy from Pinthorn,
Yeah,
going around spanking all the Brazilians.
Kilos,
49 kilo, going around spanking all the Brazilians at their own sport. Like,
but I mean that's the thing. Like, and it's even with like the resources that you start up with out here, because in like the cities like you know Aberdeen, maybe
you've always got more.
But even like Glasgow and that, like there's probably a gym on every street corner. Right?
In Glasgow, there's a boxing club in every street corner.
Yeah,
and like the amount of not just money probably people have put into things and stuff like that, but especially like time. You know, guys
even in Aberdeen, there's not many clubs.
Yeah,
like there's less now than there was when I started, because there was a heap that have closed down for whatever reason. So at the minute, there's Byron Boxing Club, Granite City, Kincorth. They're the Kings Wells. I think they're off the top of my head. They're the Kane maybe, but it's over a big area. It's like Aberdeenshire kind of thing.
There used to be a boxing club in Lossy Wines when I grew up.
That was Elgin Boxing Club. Yeah. That was where they. I don't know if it was where they started, but
and it used to be
when I started at Elgin, it was in Tyack Industrial Estate beside Elgin Truck and Van at the time, and it was a shared building with Kaizen Kickboxing Club.
It was Billy Henderson, I think, used to run the boxing club in Elgin.
That would have been Donald Campbell. Donald Campbell's always run it. He might have been involved, but
one of the coaches.
It'd have been Donald Campbell.
Is he still reffing as well? Because I know
he's about 95.
He's inevitable, isn't he?
But he's still involved in a pretty big way. He's always at boxing shows.
Right, because there's
always reffing, judging.
Like I've seen photos on the club's page of him. Like obviously he was a fighter and back in the day, but I suppose like he's probably one of those people, like if boxing got taken away from him, they just wouldn't know what to do with himself, right? Some people, I think it's admirable that people like, because a lot of people are like, I can't wait till I retire, and that's like a sign of someone doing something that they don't actually like
dedication
doing,
Yeah.
So we're at an hour and 10 minutes now, so we'll wrap up in the next couple of minutes. I know it goes quickly. We do have a couple of questions. We usually have two for every guest. We've got to remember to do that before we do the whole corporate stuff that we've got to get into. Stop the.
I ain't helping you with corporate stuff.
There's a new podcast called like the Football Notepads or something, like
I'll leave a link in the description.
But yeah, I guess like one that we never got to ask last time is who in your mind, and obviously it's a subjective thing, right? Who do you think's the best boxer of all time?
I don't know. There's so many.
There's so many. Yeah.
You can't like I'd have to get back to you on that. Well, maybe the next time I'm on.
Save for the third one. Yeah. Well, we'll have the. That's
another. Obviously the GOAT.
Yeah.
It's like everyone said, Muhammad Ali. So that would be my go-to question. But really, I don't know.
I think Fraser made a good point in saying that it was Mayweather, not just because obviously he was undefeated in that, but he also seems like the one that got out like the best health. Like and I don't want to be like mean to the guy or anything, but I think he got to see, like, have you ever seen like his father speak and stuff like that, Mayweather's dad? I think he kind of got to see what would happen if he didn't look after his health in the sport. So and obviously like he's still fighting now. He's robbing absolute banks, fighting like shopkeepers on Sundays and stuff. But I would have probably, and I keep saying this, but I was part of the first boxing match one of the first that I ever watched was Ricky Hatton, Floyd Mayweather. That was like, And I was kind of surrounded by people and part of the delusion, like, Ricky's going to beat him, right? And ever since then, I wanted Mayweather to lose every fight. But he was a genius because he realised being the villain made him way more financial gain than wanting to be,
Well, he said, you pay to see me win, you pay to see me lose. At the end of the day, you're all still paying.
Yeah.
So true, man. So true.
But like, there's been a few. Well, basically, anyone that has went to fight Mayweather that has been a fan favorite, every time it's been, oh yeah, he's the one.
I know.
Like Victor Ortiz was one of the guys at the time, and then he ended up sticking a head in him and then getting flattened for his trouble. And
then even then, like, people had hated Mayweather that much that they were like, oh, that's a cheap shot, and I'm like, you not just see him get Billy goated in the corner. Like, it's not like there's any love lost.
It doesn't matter if it's a cheap shot. It was a cheap shot. That's fair enough, but you protect yourself
at all times. Yeah.
And the referee said box.
Mm-hmm.
So morally, it was a pretty shitty thing to do, but legally, it was absolutely fine. I would have done the same thing. The referee says box.
Yeah,
if he's not got his hands up, then
it's his responsibility to have his hands up. Yeah, totally. What's the best fight you've ever seen?
That's another tough one.
I know.
What's all these fucking tough questions?
Here, we asked the big questions. We've upgraded since the last time.
I really liked Joshua Klitschko.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Obviously, I watch a lot of old stuff as well. The Gatti Ward fights.
Oh yeah. 90s boxing was just like a golden era, really. Wasn't
next time, send me the questions.
Yeah, I will send you. We're a media company now,
so I can have an answer.
I've got an easier one for you. In 10 years' time, when McMurray Music Festival is organising boxing fights, and they offer you 10 grand to fight Aidan Stephen in a boxing match, will you take it?
I'd do it for 5.
Oh, Jesus. I just heard Mark
I'll do it for free. Phone him right now.
Phone him right now. All right, okay.
Well, I guess we have a preview clip.
Yeah, we do.
I just heard Mark Murray there. I was like, where are you going with this?
I know, I was thinking that. I was like,
because that's what it seems to be. It's like you can just throw in someone in sports' name with someone else in sports' name. If they've got some sort of association with each other, fuck it, like let's make them fight, and that's what seems to be the way now. So it's not out of the question.
You must have like sparked
the crossover thing, like comparing boxing and mixed martial arts. It's like comparing football and rugby. Yeah, you play them both with a ball.
Yep.
Yeah,
there are some similarities, but it's two totally different.
I suppose you've probably sparred with Aidan though, because he was involved with the boxing club for a bit back in the day, wasn't he?
We used to spar. We used to spar a lot. I think the last time I've not sparred him in about 5 years. The last time was down at SPG.
Mm-hmm. Was that on his more home? Was it just boxing, or was there like anything else?
No, it was
involved?
just boxing.
Okay.
And I couldn't. Sorry, I couldn't interrupt you. My question I didn't get to ask you last time is, I think last time you came on, you just not long had a bairn. So I didn't ask you at the time.
Yeah, she should have been 5 or 6 months old, I think, at the time.
Yeah. Would you ever push your own children into boxing?
I don't think she'll. Well, I mean, she sees my boxing bag and she walks about going bop, 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 bop. She tries to, like...
If she did show an interest at maybe 9 or 10 years old, would you encourage it or discourage it?
Only if she wanted to do it. Then I'd give her all the back. But I would never like force her into it. I would let her go, and as soon as she started getting fed up or saying I don't really want to do this, then that's fair enough.
Yeah.
What were your parents like when you, not just when you like started going to the club, but when you told them, oh, I want to actually take this further, amateurs, pros, and that? Were they ever kind of?
Well, I was never let my. The reason I got into boxing, I don't know if you ever heard of Governor Taxi.
Yeah, you mentioned last time.
Jamie, his son, wanted to go to boxing, but he didn't want to go by himself, so he asked me to go, and I went home and begged my mum to let me go, and then she eventually let me go, and then I stuck at it.
Yeah,
it's weird how these things happen.
Yeah, I know, right? Like it's all like split second decisions and stuff like that cause like massive.
And the next thing I know,
events.
like I'm like training, and then like it was Ratch. Even then, he was like, "Oh, do you want to come and did some pads with them?" And then said, "Oh, well, maybe you want to try sparring." And then the number one guy at Elgin at the time, the only guy they had was Ginge.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did some sparring with him, and then they were obviously quite happy with that, how it went. And then next thing I know, I'm getting a fight, and then my first fight was an exhibition, and then I had another fight, and then I went to the novice championships, won that. I a couple more fights. Then obviously again, won it again. And it seems so long ago now. It was like 15 years.
Time flies when you're having fun, I suppose. So, last question each.
Yeah, you go yours first because yours is a bit more dour than mine.
Well, it's not dour, it's thought-provoking. What you
It's
talking about?
thought-provoking, there we go, I like that word.
So we try to ask a question to each and every guest, and it's just like a simple one end of the spectrum to the other end. So mine is always, what's one thing that you overthink the most?
This question.
Well, it is now, yeah. Overthink. Probably like, is this just boxing or
Just anything in your life, mate?
being like, I don't know, being prepared.
Like thinking that have you done enough?
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
That's an absolutely great answer.
I always think, have I done enough? Like even in work as well.
Yeah.
It's like, have I got enough like staff in this day, or are there enough carts fixed? Do we have enough spares? Like constantly thinking, and like especially when you're walking to the ring, that's the time when everything goes in your head. Like,
Yeah.
have I done enough like road work this time, or did I do it right?
What could I have done more?
Yeah.
You know, yeah. That's a good one though, and that's
But then
like
that, and spend like, I'll take it back to the fight. In that last fight, I don't think I could have done much more. Like, obviously getting stopped in the first round, there's nothing that I could have done in training to account for that.
exactly, yeah.
Just as you see the footage, I went to throw a left hook at exactly the same time he throws the overhand right, and my left hand's down my arse, and he just catches me clean.
Yeah, and that's just the
Boxing.
game sometimes, in it, you know.
Boxing.
But that's a really good answer, because like a lot of what we get is like everything. I think Bradley said his hairline, which I found quite a funny one. I can relate to that. But like I think the reason that I kind of ask that is we don't really talk about these things a lot of the time. Right? I don't think we're taught to talk about these things. It's just kind of just like distorted thinking that we hold within ourselves a lot of the time. And I think if people actually kind of spoke about those things more, they would realize everyone else does that as well, right?
Everyone overthinks. My question, Smarty, is what's the one thing that makes you the happiest? If all else goes out the window, what's the one thing you're left with that makes you happy?
Well, it's got to be my family.
Yeah.
It's got to be. Yeah. Because like you come home after a day at work, and then I come into my family, like Kirsten and Nova. Fair enough, she doesn't really like me at the minute. She runs away. She goes, "No, Daddy," that's her favourite thing to say now. And she clucks at me and swipes at me, but still, it doesn't. It's
makes it everything worthwhile, doesn't it?
Does, mate. Yeah, I can get on board with that. Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming back on. All the best. December 2nd, so the semi-final.
There will be a trilogy podcast.
There will be a trilogy. And I will send you the questions in advance next time, because we're obviously a professional media company now. But just.
Do you want me to do your little thing for you, Ryan?
Oh,
I'm not bitter.
This dude's ego needs checked. But I just want to say, obviously, the luck you've had in the last couple of years with the fights, and that, I don't think anyone deserves it more, getting the opportunity and getting the belt and stuff like that than you. And I remember the last time you were in here, it was like, next time we'll be on here, I'll bring the Scottish title. So we'll still hold you to that when you come on the third time. So do you want to do the corporate stuff?
I will, mate.
Okay, go for it. Why not? Give me a night off.
If you did enjoy this episode, please leave us a little review, a little follow, check us out on Facebook as well. We're not on Twitter now, are we, Ryan?
No.
Or X. Instagram or anything like that.
I was trying to do that, and then I realised I'm spending so much time on something that really doesn't matter.
But I also go and check out the Lighthouse Podcast Studio website as well. It's really professionally done. Who was the people who done your website? Want to give them a shout out?
Digital Rights.
If you look at it, it's just an awesome website. But please leave a review, a 5-star review, because Ryan is falling behind in the reviews for the podcast wars right now.
At least we're still positive.
Yeah.
Some would say we're the most positive podcast in town.
Well, I've been getting my reviews at work by refusing to do work until people review my podcast.
Oh, right. So you've been using coercion.
Of course I have.
That makes sense. Anyway, episode 100 out next week. prepare for the chaos of that. There's people getting prank called and thinking we're MFR and naming crisp flavors and all sorts of shit. So
some weird stories on there.
Until then, we'll see you.